sure if the curtsy was necessarily appropriate.
Curtsy. Kate, I saw you sitting at the. I saw you struggling actually out on the dinner table, struggling to make conversation with people.
It was
Kind
hard. People
of
here
really struggling to get to
I got
speak.
punched, dude. No, they set me on fire.
Where's Bruce?
It faded in the fire. Nah, they were pretty lovely. Yeah, it was good. Good spag.
Is that kitchen talk or kitchen slang?
Yeah, that's what we call it in the hood. I'm a camp cook by trade, and sometimes we gang up with other cooks and talk about spag. Because you can't do the bag and bowl thing. People get into wars. It's like a turf war thing, man. You just can't go there. Keep it simps. Hey. I'm really hip, if you haven't noticed. Hashtag yes.
I said last night the purpose of these guest speaker spots was to give you just a little bit of a snapshot on Christian leadership outside of church walls.
Just talking.
And last night we had David Spears, and tonight Kate is some excellent contrast to David Spears from last night. So, but
He's a guy, I'm not. That's the difference.
That's it. But certainly all really intentionally invited to help you see one of my friend's favourite words, the cornucopia of that's out there of good Christian leadership.
Let's turn into the Hunger Games because we should have talked about that.
So, Kate, last night when I introduced David Spears, I thought a good way to do that was to look on the internet and find what I could about him, and I used that as a bit of an intro. So, because the internet is a public place, anything that goes on the internet, of course, has been carefully put there, because that's always often our best face, isn't it? So you hear the best.
Totally.
So I googled Kate Eckert, and what I found, I guess it's public, so is it okay if I share this?
Sure, go for it. Nothing to hide except for most of the stuff from yesterday and before.
Okay, well, I'm not sure if what happened yesterday and before got onto Facebook, but that's where I'm drawing from tonight. So these are some Facebook timeline shares, ones that you posted yourself, so not other people's. I thought that was playing it fair.
Yeah, cool.
So, oh sorry, this was yesterday.
That's fine, that's fair game. It's up there, it's fair game.
So, yesterday, got an epic infected splinter from a breadcrumb.
2 weeks was epic.
My life is full of magic. It's almost as good as Marnie dislocating her finger while washing her hair.
Happened on camp, had to bandage it up. Tried to put a hand through her hair, finger fell out. Not out, just like awkward and fell out. You don't want to get a finger out of a ranger's hair, you don't know what's going on. Sauce for the Rangers.
Good. 5th of July. Mad shout outs to my Wirraway peeps for my anniversary love. I tolerate you like I tolerate Coke in a can.
You don't work with me. I drink like 4 or 5 cans of Coke a day. It's a bit of a joke.
Okay, so that's a compliment.
Yeah, ish.
Okay. 19th of June. Can you remember what happened then?
I don't know what happened this morning.
Getting busted crying in Target because I have no idea how to shop outside of Miller's. Hashtag I'm also awesome at adulthood.
So that's a backstory. I had to go shopping for this like formal wear, something that wasn't flannels and jeans, and that's like all I own. So I had to go to a shop and they didn't have Miller's, and I went into Target and I was just really tired, and when you're tired and you need to shop and you don't know what you're doing and you just burst into tears in a really awkward section of the shop. So I'm like standing in like the old lady underwear segment, just crying. And I didn't know my friend worked at Target, and she came over and she's like, "Eckert, is that you?" He's like, "No! Where's Miller's? Miller's!" And then ran out.
16th of June. Still in bed at 4 p.m. on a Monday. Mad skills at having a day off. Suckers be jealous.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I have no idea who it is.
So, Kate, just in case that didn't really give the people here a good idea of who you are, could you perhaps tell us a little bit about yourself?
Me?
Who are you? Who's Kate?
I'm a human.
Oh, sorry. Eckert, is it?
It depends where your name is from, bro. If you're from a crib in my B unit, it's Kate. The rest of you is peeps, it's Kate. Or if you're professional, Mrs. Kate. Now, I'm from Strathay. It's like a little hole that way. It's pretty bad. Grew up on a farm. I can talk to sheep. They don't talk back. They're very polite. I work at a campsite. I work at a place called Wirraway. It's written on my shirt because I came here from work. I pretty much just go to camps all year round. Like this next week will be camp number 500 for me. It's a lot of camps. That's a lot of names. So if I don't remember your faces, I'm very sorry. I spend most of my time with 10-year-olds. So I talk like one, act like one, and have the maturity of one.
It's
Much to my
called
mother's anger.
incarnational.
We call it regressional. Regressional awesomeness. I'm the baby of 5, and my brothers, I have 3 brothers and a sister. My brothers are the kind of people who lied to me a lot growing up. A lot. To the point where they told me that my sister, who is 16 years older than me and just mysteriously left home when I was 6 months old, was actually my mum, and she didn't want me, and then she left, and my mum was my grandma, and my grandma was my great-grandma, and then when she came home when I was like 10 and I met her, I was really confused. Turns out she's my sister and my brothers are jerks. So, if I come across confused, it's their fault. That's pretty much what you need to know about me. I love music, bad jokes, movies, TV shows.
Bad jokes!
Terrible jokes.
When?
We'll do it later. And telling long-winded stories that go nowhere purely to fill in time is my special skill. So sometimes if I've ruined dinner and I need to waste 10 minutes, I try to get kids involved in this really epic story, and there's like theme music and clap-alongs, and then nothing happens. And they get really angry and riot. It's kind of like soccer. You all stand around like, yes! And at the end, I don't know what happened, but oh, food, cool. Distraction, yeah.
Distraction's your
It's my
job.
main weapon, yeah. So that's pretty much me.
Okay. Okay, can you tell us what do you do in your job? What's it involved?
At camp, I clean a lot. I clean and I clean and I clean. My kitchen is the cleanest kitchen in a campsite in Strath. It's not a big claim, but I'm going to take it. Meaning it's 2 venues. So yeah, I do a lot of cleaning. I'm in there by myself all day until about 5 o'clock, and then I'm allowed to play with the kids for a while. I have to get back to my cage, a bit like that. So I do that. It's very, very exciting. I cook between 40 and 130 people by myself 5 days a week. I work 60 to 70 hours a week. It's super awesome. My day started at 5 a.m. After this, I will go back to work and I'll finish about 2 a.m. because it's holiday camps and people try to sneak out. It's my job to catch them and make them feel terrible about themselves till they go back to bed. One of the many, many pleasures I endure. So that's what I do in that part of the job. I also work for Anglicare with a group called Bereaved Through Suicide. So I work with mostly girls between 14 and 22 who are really struggling mentally or know someone who are and they don't know what to do. They come and talk to me. We burn things and blow things up and throw TVs off the bluff at Victor. Not that I do that because that's illegal. But other things of various nature to get to talk about emotions and Jesus. I do a lot of talking about God in really, really obscure, weird ways. Like, you know, after a kid's punched you in the face and they're threatening to kill you, they're like, oh, do you want to talk about God? Like, no! So you're feeling upset. Oh, I'm sorry for bleeding on you. That's really awkward. They need shoes. Okay, cool. Do a lot of that sort of stuff. So if you like terribly panicky scenarios, come talk to me. I'm really good at it. And mucking around, I'm good at that too.
So this sounds very interesting then. How did you come to be in such a job? Let's start there.
I got fired from the job I currently have for being a terrible employee. True story. I used to work at Wirraway when I was about 18, 19. I worked there for a couple of years and I was pretty terrible at it because I hated kids and they were really annoying and they always want things and they always talk at you. It's like, shut up. I really hated that and I decided it was more fun to go out partying, so I went out partying the weekend and I'd come back to work and just hate kids even more because I was really tired. Anyways, after a couple of years, they don't fire you at Wirraway. They ask you to think about alternative employment. Forcefully ask you to think about employment. So I did that. I went and thought about other alternative employment. And I worked in a dairy farm and I worked in a shearing shed for a couple of years and I got pooed on a lot in those jobs. And I was cooking for shearing teams. And I realised I was really good at cooking because I didn't care much about food, but I could cook in bulk time. So I went back to Wirraway and we had new managers who were a lot nicer and they knew all about me and all about my past and everything about me, which was weird, and they still hired me. Anyway, so a year later, here I am. That's how I do what I do at Wirraway, and Anglicare, that just sort of happened. I just happened to be around a lot of kids who were really struggling and a lot of suicides happened because I live in Strath. It's a very, very high risk area. We are the worst suicide rate in Australia. Some unknown reason, that's just how it is in Strath, and it just happens a lot, and I was around a lot. Anyways, these guys from Anglicare approached me and said, hey, I've got another kid who hates everybody and they've like set fire to the last 2 people, do you want to come? So I said, sure, I'll bring marshmallows. So I rocked up at this hospital and I had a bag of marshmallows, like, oh, I hear you really like lighters. This kid sort of looked at me and was like, what? I was like, oh, I didn't bring any sticks, so we're going to have to find some, and I'm going to burn for a while because I'm quite fat, there's a lot of oils in here. Anyways, they sort of started laughing and we just hit it off, and that was sort of the start of Anglicare for me. So there you go, being really crap at something can sometimes pan out for you. I don't recommend getting fired. It's not fun. That was my goal now, to come here and throw you.
Distract me.
What else would you like to know about me, Hamilton? Any question?
Yeah. Where is it that you see God at work? And actually, probably the question I'm looking for is how did you know that God was leading you to that?
All right. You ask an interesting question. I would think of an answer now, don't I? Right. Well, the first time I left Wirraway due to being forced to seriously consider other employment, I actually ended up in a rehab, which was a pretty big step from youth worker to rehab client, where you're locked in this tiny house with 11 other people who are just nutballs like you are, and you all hate each other, and you're locked in there. And it was a Christian rehab, so they kept talking to us about God and Jesus, and anyways, I was in there and I had 11 other people, and one of them was a Christian, and the other 10 definitely were not in any way, no way interested in God, hated God. And being in Christian rehab, they kept trying to do Bible studies. Anyways, there was one girl in particular, I say girl, she was like 40, and she'd been a heroin addict for like 20 years, and she was just mad aggressive, like the most terrifying person I've ever met. Married to a drug lord her whole life, she's just so scary. She'd been sober for about 3 weeks by the time this took place, and I don't know if you've ever seen anybody in heroin withdrawal, but it's intense. Run! Anyways, we went to this Bible study, and this poor woman was trying to share about the Bible, just what it was. She got as far as Adam and Eve, at which point this chick started a riot, because, why would some naked dude running around with an apple mean everybody has to go to hell? She started throwing apples at this chick, and we had to shut down Bible study, and call in reinforcements because people were getting knives, and it just got out of hand really quickly. Anyways, at the end of this session, one of the workers knew I was a Christian and knew what I did before I was in this place. And she said, "Oh, Kate, you're a Christian." And this chick just turned around and looked at me and she said, "You're a Christian!" And everything you mean was like, I didn't want to say yes, because if I said yes, she was going to kill me. Like, it was going to happen. I said, yeah. She said, "Oh, you're a screw-up!" I was like, yeah. I couldn't say no. I'm in rehab. It wasn't like I had some glowing sign like, "Made amazing choices." waiting for this knife to come whipping out, like stab me. What do you think of the Bible? I like it. She looked at me and she said, what? It's a whole bunch of rules. Why do you like it? I was like, oh, well, and I started freaking out. I was like, dear God, please don't let me die. Please don't let me die. It's like, well, the Bible it's full of screw-ups, right? Mm-hmm. She started listening, and I was like, this is going to end either really good or really bad. I was like, well, there's like David, and he runs around and gets a dude killed just because he's horny for the dude's wife, and then you've got Moses, who does the wrong thing and kills some other dude and buries him and pretends that never happened, and you've got Peter, who's like buddies with Jesus and still like, I don't know him, two in his face, like that's pretty harsh, man. She's like, oh, okay. Anyways, every day for a week she came back to me and she'd ask me a new question about God. She asked me about marriage, she asked me about Christianity, she asked me about the Holy Spirit, all this stuff, and I realised I was being really honest. It was the first time in my Christian faith I'd been honest, and I was pretty good at it. Because when you've got absolutely nothing to hide and people know the worst things about you, it's really easy to be honest. You're like, oh yeah, that one time, that one time I stole that cop car, and we did all this dumb stuff, and whatever, I still know God loves me. And she's like, oh yeah, cool. Say that at a youth group, people are like, you stole that cop car! What? Oh dude, I was 14, like everybody does that. That's not normal. Is that not normal? No. It is in Strath, it's fine. Anyways, after a few years of these sort of experiences and realising I really liked talking about God. I really loved talking about God. I really loved talking about the gospel. And the only people who really understood my weird enthusiasm were drug addicts and kids. Kids love it. Man, you go and talk to a 12-year-old about Justin Bieber, they love it. It's great. They're all in on this conversation. I got that. And all you have to do is watch a few TV references and understand how they work and how to be encouraging. And I know all the things I wanted to hear when I was 12, so I just say that. You know what? Your haircut's not terrible. Like, thank you. It's the truth. It's not terrible. Yeah, so, I just discovered that camp was fun, all the things I liked about camp. The only thing I didn't like about camp when I was there was me and my actions. And so I changed that, I've come back, and I'm pretty good at it. And now I talk to my little druggies when they're trying to OD and things, and that's pretty funny. They like a bit of raw honesty. Some doctors don't. I don't recommend making a lot of OD jokes to doctors. They sometimes think you're the patient and they won't let you leave. And whatever, it's only happened a few times. Anyway. It just sort of happened by accident, man. He's probably regretting inviting me right now. It's a bit of a step down from last night. I don't even own a suit here.
No, we talk about leadership as being a risky thing.
Oh, it is, man. People try to stab you. Sometimes with a fork, though. They're kids, they don't really know. They're good at weapons.
So you've shared a little bit, about what's in your job now. Can you tell a little bit more how you see God using you in that position, with druggies and kids?
Cool. Yeah, my job, we're always a little bit weird. We have 25 staff. Them are students who are 18, 19, and they come and do a Cert 3 or a Cert 4 in outdoor rec. So if you want to learn about how to do outdoor recreation, you can come and work for us. And it's sort of my job to make sure they learn how to take criticism. Which is pretty hard. Nobody likes to be criticised. Nobody wants to be told that they mocked wrong, and they've got to go back and do it again until they do it right. But we have a method that you are not allowed to correct a kid. You can't correct another staff member until what you do is perfect every time, and you can take that criticism the same way. So I'm sort of camp mum, camp bully for the staff. We have a reward system. They have a treat fridge they're allowed to access if they are good. And a lot of the other time is workshopping what they've done wrong, how they can do it better, how to talk to kids properly, how to talk to kids properly, how to do that properly, and how to use safe language, which is very, very important. We work with a lot of kids in care for Families SA and other facilities who have grown up without parents and say things. So even using a word like God is the Father is bad, because they don't like it, it's not a good thing. So you've got to learn how to get to know kids, how to even deal with weird first aid issues if it's all in their head, which is a lot of it. And with that, with the kids, a lot of our leadership stuff is sort of looking at setting a really good example. So if you come to our campsite, one of the first things we do is give you a name tag, and staff have to learn 9 kids' names. Like 9 kids' names, so I could sit here and I could be like, oh yeah, I totally met Brianna at dinner, she was really, really fun, and I met Mim and I met Ebony, and it was just awesome. We just hit it off, and Ruby, we had a great time. Just talked about beeps and things like that. You know, and I'd be able to sit there and name off whoever I met that day. And you might think that's a weird habit because we meet 3,500 kids a year, and I've met 9 kids, 18 kids a week, or whatever, 40 weeks a year that we have, 50 weeks a year. I don't know, whatever. 48 weeks of the year we have camps, I meet 18 children. And I know their names, and every time they come back to camp, I've got to remember their name, where they live, something about them, whatever. We try to make it as personal as we can. So that way, when we come to a kid and say, hey, you did really well today, I saw you trying out there on the rock climbing wall, they're like, oh, you did notice. Because for me, when I came to that camp when I was 9, I was a really shy kid, and the one thing that stood out to me was when someone learned my name and then gave me a compliment that was personal. So if you want to do leadership with kids, learn about them. It's not about you looking cool and pulling off how confident you are. It's never ever about how awesome you come across. It's always about that kid that needs your help, and you don't know what it is. It might be, I don't know, your awesome swagger style. It might be a sing-along to make them feel relaxed and comfortable. We do a lot of dancing in our kitchen. Our kitchen is tiny. It is the size of this stage with a lot of hot things in it. Dancing is a terrible idea, but we keep doing it because Ock Health and Safety will never stop that being a hilarious bonding moment. Never! That's my weird battle cry. No, Ock Health. Yeah, so Hamilton just became my worst enemy right now. So we do it. Yeah, Kate can't come back. Yeah, so we do a lot of stuff like that. When it comes to working with my mental health kids and things through Anglicare, a lot of the leadership stuff is saying, you know what, you're 15, what do you want to do? Giving them the chance to be the leader in their own life. And when they make a dumb decision, rather than being like, I told you so, I told you so, they're like, okay, what went wrong? Alright, you got kicked out of this place, you're struggling again, you're making the dumb mistakes, you're still doing drugs. What's not changed? Why are you still doing the wrong thing? Oh, well, I guess I was probably a bit drunk that time I did that. I punched that person. Yeah, maybe cut back on the drinking. Oh yeah, alright, I'll try that. Alright, because whatever happens is their victory. Whatever happens, it's their journey. It's not about me. Alright, it's always about them. I may be ridiculously loud and overpowering and whatever. Attention seeking, that's cool. It's all in my forms from school. But the minute you start hanging out with kids and you want to minister to them, you've got to make it about them. It's the same thing at camp, same thing with the drug addicts, same thing with your mates at school. Learn about them, encourage them, and give them something sincere. Because there's nothing worse than someone giving you an awesome compliment on your shoes if you feel really crap on the inside. Like, oh man, 6 shoes. Cool, but I'm really lonely. It's quite awkward. It's a lot better to be like, so Alden, what's going on, man? You look crap.
Yeah. These tears are tears of sadness.
Glasses are ugly. Should get a new pair. Ray-Bans. So it's a lot better, like, be awkward is fine. You can ask awkward questions. Sometimes asking a really direct question, even if you're shy, is a good idea with kids, particularly with like 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds. Hey, what do you think about God? I don't know. But they have to answer you because you asked them a direct question like, oh, do you like God? That's just yes or no. That's easy. Give them a question and then don't critique them for their answer. Pretty big mistake a lot of people do. So this is all the stuff we teach our staff, how to ask open-ended questions, how to deal with people who are terrified of the climbing wall and they've just climbed up there and now they've wet their pants and they're afraid to come down. That happens a lot. Or probably my favourite scenario was when I had 6 kids who didn't speak a word of English. And they had just come over on an excursion, like an exchange from South Korea, and they came and I knew like 2 words, like come here and look. That's it. So I'm like trying to do the rock climbing wall with these kids, and they're like 6 foot away in the air. Kenny! What's your name? It was awkward, man, but you gotta learn how to do that and not come across as being a jerk. You know? It's very hard. What else do you want? Vague questions, this guy. Where'd you get them?
So you've told us a little bit about the people who are on the staff.
Yep.
Are there any other sort of things that principles that you use in terms of how you grow a team to do something and be something that they haven't to shift on?
Probably the first thing is community. We do a lot of games together as a staff. Not necessarily good games, but terrible games. Like, we have a ropes course set up, so sometimes we do that in teams and you've got to carry around this giant log as a team and do the ropes course. It's highly dangerous, I don't recommend it. But it means that every time you pay somebody out, or you drop it, or you cuss someone, or you look at them and roll your eyes, you have to start again. Your team has to start again. So we do lots and lots and lots of games where you cannot be sarcastic, you cannot put them down, you have to get along, because we want to grow together and we want to respect each other. We also, because there's 25 of us and 20 of those people live together, alright? Can you imagine 14, 19-year-olds living in a house, sharing one bathroom, one kitchen, one couch, one TV? It's epic. It is epic. Anyways, they are not allowed to have grudges. There are no grudges on our campsite. You have to fight it out. Yeah, that might sound like the worst idea ever, but it works. It works really well, because as soon as you have a problem with someone, you just go straight up to them and be like, you know what? You're really annoying me today! And sometimes your manager will be there, they're like, you know what? You're being really crabby, you need to go outside and cool down, because it's not even their fault. But it's good, because it means you don't walk around bitching or gossiping. And one of the things that really, really undoes leadership is when you gossip about each other, because Christians call it like prayerful concerns of judgment, or whatever they code it as. Like, I'm just a bit worried about Dean. He's got a bit of a wayward spirit. He just seems to be struggling a bit with his faith. Go and talk to him about it. Quit saying crap behind his back, all right? Just go and say it to his face, mate. What is going on? What's going on with you and God? You're not going to church. You're not praying. You seem to be really down. You want to talk to me? Like, let's talk about this as a team. So we had a staff member who was really sick at the start of the year, really mentally quite ill, and made a couple of stupid decisions. And we ended up going and seeing her in the hospital as a group. All of us went together to pray with her and talk to her about her choices, and as a group to say, you know what, come back and live with us. We're going to support you. We're going to walk you through it. Doesn't mean it's easy. Most of us want to hit her half the time because she just says dumb stuff. But you got to love her because we chose to and we commit to it. All right. It's the same thing with God. We chose to be Christians. We chose to serve kids, which means, and it also means if you live together, you know each other. You know when it's bad times. We've got like most of our people have dead parents. So everyone has like anniversaries and sensitive days, and we know that as a team. So when that person's having a bad day, someone else picks up the slack. So a couple of years ago, one of our staff members died. A young guy, he's 20, had an epileptic seizure. He finished work at 5 o'clock, he was dead at 6. He just dropped dead in his bed, choked on his own vomit and stuff. And they had to go back to work on Monday and be super joyful. Hey kids, blah, 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 because it's not the kids' problem about what happened and we don't want to disappoint them. So what they did instead was they laid off the entire staff, and me and 3 others rocked up and we just took over that camp. And we just kept it on. So at night, because all the staff lived there, we just went and stayed with the staff at night, talked to them about what's going on, and the next morning went back. We didn't sleep that whole week. We just went and ministered to kids to get them through it. Because that's what community is. That are like really, really love each other. And you know what? They're really good guys. They really love God. They really love kids. So do I. So, it's not about me leading them. I want to be led by them. I want to learn from them, and I want to grow. Because you know what? I'm pretty rough, and I do a lot of dumb stuff. And sometimes I don't realize that you're not supposed to hit kids. That slips my mind, or I forget that that's inappropriate. But I really love rap metal and screamo and stuff. Sometimes staff have to come in and be like, you know what, Kate, probably different tune, because right now it sounds like you're killing someone in here. Very terrifying for any children walking past, because they don't know what's in this bag, man. You gotta ease up on that. So, and it's good. I need those reminders. I need to remember what I do. I need to remember what's appropriate, and I need to remember who I am in God. And that's screwed up, really screwed up, but loved. So, we all bring our mess, and I know all of my staff's mess. I know their middle names. I know where they live. I know what their parents' names are from. I know every single death anniversary in their family. I know their favourite food. I know what snacks they want in the snack fridge when it's their snack time. I know what they are allergic to. I know who has EpiPen stashed in whose rooms. I know everything about them, and I've only been there a year this time. It's not that hard to get to know people. Just ask them stupid questions. Right. I used to do a lot of camp leading. From the time I was 15, I started leading, and I'd get 8 or 9 kids for a week. If you want to know about it, talk to Mark. He's done it a few times. He's awesome at it. We love him very much at Wirraway. No, don't talk to him about it. You can't take him. His house. We have 8 or 9 kids for a week, and you talk to them about God, and you follow them around. And the first time I did it, I was so scared. I was going to be terrible at it. I wrote down my kids' names, I wrote down their age, I wrote down their phone number, and I wrote down whatever they prayed for that week. I now have I've had 144 kids in my books, and I've got every single book. I've got every single prayer concern. Every time I catch up for coffee, I write down what they prayed for. I write down when they've had an answer. So I mean, if a kid comes to me, and I've been doing this for 13 years now. I've got kids who come to me and they're married with kids, and they say, Kate, I just don't think I'll ever be happy. Like, you know what? I can show you that God has answered your prayers, and I can show you where he's made you happy, and I can go through their book with them and say, you know what? This is what happens, and you met this great guy here, and you had this amazing time, and you've got a kid now, and that's awesome for you, you're learning. And this one time in year 11, you were really worried about formal and your dress shoes and things like that. That came through for you as well. Wow, cool, yeah, God is good. Doing little things like that. If you're afraid your brain is going to just fart and forget, write it down. Seriously. It might be creepy at first, but you know what? Keep praying for those kids. I pray for every single one of my kids, and I still write to them. I know every single one of them. And it's not because I don't have any friends. I mean, that's a different point entirely. But those kids that I led, I now work with. I know all about them when they were 10. I know all their worst habits. And a lot of them aren't Christians. A lot of them have nothing to do with God, and they still remember me as that one weird Christian who bothered to call them 2 years later to see how they were doing at school. So it definitely, the little things make all the attention up. All that relationship is the best way to get leadership. Because if they don't know you, they're not going to give a crap what you say, unless you're really, really terrifying, and that's just fear. That's not leadership. So, you know, like the best sort of help you can give somebody is true encouragement. No, you know what? You really tried there. I saw that you were scared, but you tried really hard. Like, oh yeah, I did. Whew, somebody saw that I tried. Because maybe they'll try again, and maybe next time they'll get it. Who knows? This is a weird interview. It should be like playing my headphones. I don't know. Just make sure it's...
I'm not sure if I need to ask any more questions. But actually, it's probably a good time to open up to Q&A. So, yeah. Or maybe QA or comment even. I'll start with Kirsty. Was that your first?
So with the getting your kids names and that, do you mainly because the thing you're doing, it wasn't mainly with the holiday camps you had, or was it school camps as well?
Mostly holiday camps. The kids I actually had a chance to talk to. So sometimes on a school camp, we meet a kid who spends a lot of time in the kitchen because they're struggling with bullying or something, and they just want to come and sit somewhere where it's a bit fun and there's the limbo music playing in the background. Do that a lot on Wednesdays for some unknown reason. I might get to know them, and they might write me a letter. So I keep all those letters and I write back to the school, and I write back to that kid, and then I'll write them in my book. But it gets a bit creepy if you write down all 3,500 kids. So mostly just the holiday kids, because those are the ones who have put up with me for a whole week. They know I talk in my sleep. They know how bad my thoughts are. They know everything. It's a lot more open.
What's your goal in life?
My goal in life, to be Korean or a gangster. Potentially 6'5". That's my life goal. I like to aim high and wait for miracles. It doesn't happen. It's the will of God.
Quick things. One, you mentioned being stabbed with a fork. My question is, have you ever had to deal with spoon-wielding marauders?
Yes. Midnight snack raiding is an issue at camp. Like we had this last week on a Friday night. One of our sneaky boys, Toms, thought it would be hilarious to break into the kitchen because they didn't think I knew. I didn't know. So I waited in a bush outside till 1 o'clock. I didn't have anywhere to go on a Friday night. So I just stayed in the bush right there. Anyway, it's the true story. So these 7 boys and their bunkhouse leader snuck out and broke into the kitchen. It's not hard, the key's in the door. Stole my staff's chocolate from the snack fridge, which was not for them. And then they went and snuck out, and then they went into the dining room and sat in front of the fire and had story time and changed all the flame colours with this thing called magic fire. It was really cool. So I snuck into their room. Because I'm so cool. And I changed all their stuff over. They moved all the sleeping bags around and I put all their possessions into a giant pyramid. Anyways, when I came back into the dining room, snuck back in through a side door and then under a table, they were eating ice cream with spoons. They were definitely marauding the ice cream. So I leapt out and freaked them all, and they dropped the ice cream into the fire and it just got weird and messy. And I went back to their rooms, and they were too ashamed and embarrassed to admit that somebody had tricked them. into sleeping in each other's beds. Yeah, so spoon wooding Maror is definitely.
I've got two other quick points. One, you mentioned reward fridge. Is that for the kids or is that for the staff?
It can be for either, depending on how good the kid is and if they do a job for me. So if they set tables, I will give them a snackage. Might be like a Mars bar slice or a can of Coke or something. All the prohibited foods of camp. It's very exciting.
Why are you wearing a backwards hat?
So I have to wear a hat in the kitchen at all times. Unfortunately, I've been wearing a hat at all times for a year now, and my hair is wedged in this position. So it's like people just assume I love wearing a hat and shoes. I hate it. I hate wearing a hat and I hate wearing shoes, but I do it all the time. So now, unfortunately, I just always wear a hat. And this is my comfortable hat, and this band just smells of my sweat, and I'm afraid of taking it off because she might die. Yeah. Right?
Which bands are you into?
Which bands am I into?
Said Screamo.
Said Screamo. Well, I really like Bullet. They're definitely a mad love of mine. I've been to see them a few times. Under Oath are a huge love. Tried very hard to get on stage with Aaron, but I got shut down. I wasn't wearing pants. It wasn't his fault. And I once had my clothes set fire to at a Slayer concert, and I didn't notice for about 20 minutes. True story. Somebody was smoking next to me, and they put the cigarette in my pocket because I was wearing cargo pants, and I was just enjoying the music. And as flames started, and my pants caught fire. Some guy's like, "You're smoking!" I was like, "I am not. That's gross." Yeah, I love Slayer, and I really, really love like Stone Sour and stuff like that. A lot of like prog rock bands and things. But Smashing Pumpkins are my all-time favourite. I know they're very 90s and whatever the grunge will live on, and y'all have to catch up.
What's your biggest challenge ministering to children that do struggle with mental illness?
The biggest one is not to believe they're crap. Like, seriously, they will tell you the most stupid things, because that's what they think. And me, like, I have bipolar, that's half why I'm like, so bonkers. You don't remember that. So sometimes they were just like, yeah, I'm just crap, there's no hope, my life is terrible, I have no friends. And you go home and you've listened to this for 10 hours, and you lie in bed and you're like, oh, happy thoughts. And all you can think about is that kid's just struggling, they're having a terrible time, and their mate's dead, and I can't do anything about that. They've got a family who don't want them, they've got friends who really do hate them, they've got a system who reject them, and you just lie there and you think, oh, I feel useless and hopeless, and you start to think what they think, like maybe I'm not doing enough, maybe I'm not doing this well enough, like if I was really good at my job, I'd never ever have to go to a funeral. 50% of the time, the kids I see, I go to a funeral, and that's a pretty crappy stat. That's why nobody wants my job, and that's why I do it, because I know that 50% of those kids are going to get hope, and they're going to get through it. And the other 50% still need to be told that they're loved, that they matter. Somebody needs to tell them the truth about who they are. So if you are going to deal with mental illness, and you know what, you go to high school, you will deal with mental illness. You go to family, you will deal with mental illness. That's 1 in 5. That's a lot of people in this room. That's a lot of people in your home. You have to deal with it. You can't just do what a lot of Christians do and say, I'll pray for you, and then not pray about it. Go and really tell God how angry you are. Go and do what David does in the Psalms. Just pour out your soul. Say, I'm really struggling. Go to that kid. You know what? Man, I stayed up and I prayed for you last night. I was really upset that you feel that way. Because I don't want you to feel that way. No one should feel that way. I don't want to feel that way. And believe it. Believe it when you tell them you love them. Believe it when you tell them they need hope. And if you are beginning to tire and beginning to struggle, get help. Don't think you got to Superman it out and just be the most awesome Christian leader ever who never tires. You're human. God doesn't get tired. He's going to deal with it. If he wants you refreshed and going there, he'll refresh you and he'll send you there. If he wants someone else there, he'll do it. If you're tired, go to bed. See a friend. Watch the show Friends. It's really funny. It's hilarious. It's just nothing. Find a lot of joy. You have to find a lot of joy if you want to battle it. And you know, the Bible is very clear in the fact that the joy of the Lord is your strength. It's not about the amount of time you spend with Christians. It's about the amount of time you spend in the joy of the Lord. Like, really, really enjoying church, enjoying your friends, enjoying food. Seriously, dinner is the greatest gift of God. Like, communion is not about rocking up in church and having some bread and some wine. It is about sitting down and chatting with somebody about what is going on with them, what's Jesus doing in their world. Really give them a piece of your heart and really pray for them, get them to pray for you, get encouragement and get into it. Yeah, so if you're scared, get help. If you're tired, get help. If you're weary, rest. But always, always go to God for what you want to do and what He wants for that person. My advice for that. And or run away to Alaska. I don't recommend it, it's quite cold. Consider options. You've got to have options. Yeah.
How do you deal with the hyperactive kids that just constantly badge you about the most useless junk?
Join them. So at Wirraway we have a bit of a policy in that there are certain staff members who tag team a ridiculous game. So we have a game called Run, Scream, Die. This has been banned a few times but it keeps coming back. So it's a game where all the hyperactive children line up on the start of our field and they run and then they scream and then they fall over and then they go back and they do it again and they go back and they do it again and they go back and they do it again and they go back and they do it again and they go back and they do it again and they go back and they do it again and they go back and they do it again. And if you are too tired, just yell and they'll think you're there. So running games are amazing, or playing sleeping logs just before bed. Telling really boring, lulling stories is also a good way to wind them down. Young boys, probably the best recommendation I can give you is to let them think that they're getting away with absolute mischief. Let them think, right? You've got to treat them like sheep. Let them think they're really smart. Get them in on a prank, but you design it, you talk the stuff about it, you know what's going on, and while they're pulling off their prank, they'll sneak around for hours trying to pull it off perfectly and get all the stuff, and then prank them while they're pranking you. So, one of the best ways to do this, we got the boys to organise a whole camp sneak out, the whole round up, so we were like, okay guys, just so you know all the stuff, we're going to go to this meeting. Wouldn't it be funny if everybody ran away and hid behind the shed? Guys, let's go. And then all the boys were like, ah! So they went and they hid behind the indoor riding arena. So they sat down there for 20 minutes and we just happened to appear with hoses. So yeah, join in on the fun. Don't just get irritated with it, because if you are someone who struggles with it, let the staff members know. Where if you're in a camp or if you're in a church, whatever, let them know that really gets to you. Or play soccer or countries or a weird version of Storm the Lanterns where they have to wear bubble wrap, or Ninja Slap, or Mafia, or other cool games. King Mao was a great card game, I don't know if you played that. It's basically a game you play in silence and you just make up rules whenever the heck you want. And you just hit people, it's pretty fun. Yeah. Anyone else?
Are you a cook by trade?
I burned down the home ec centre in year 8. True story. I didn't understand about plastic cheese. Thought it was normal cheese. It wasn't. No, I'm just special. I tried to put it out. There was a tea towel and a textbook. Whatever. It's another story. By trade, technically, all I have is a Cert 4 in Christian Life and Ministry, which I got from doing some lecturing work, which was weird, and a Cert 3 in Outdoor Recreation. I have absolutely no trade skills. And some shearing stuff, and a milkmaid. I was milkmaid for a while. But no, I know nothing about cooking other than how to cook for 100, because that's what the book says to do. I know what I like, and my taste buds are that of a 10-year-old. So yeah, I can only cook 15 things. I'm not very fancy. So yeah, I just wing it. That's my name.
When I was in primary school, it was very squashy in the dining room. Has that changed at all since 2012?
It will change in 4 years when we finally raise enough money to get a dining room that can actually fit people. But no, at the moment it's still a sauna. It's good. You don't have to put the fire on. They just sweat it out. Yeah, we just try to limit on the running around.
Do you ever have kids that are ADHD and then you've got the normal kids?
Yeah.
How do you find dealing with both at the same time?
It is a lot harder for the normal kids. We had a camp in, a couple of years ago that I was leading, and I had a girl who was 15 and she'd been in a training centre, which is like a kids' prison, for quite a while. And when you're in that kind of environment, you get very used to doing whatever the hell you want, and you get to yell and slam things and break things and nobody gives a damn. And she was in a bunk with 7 very lovely, very quiet 16-year-olds who were very used to doing what they were told, because that's what they'd grown up with. And so this kid, it was their group time to do dinner dishes. They had to do dinner dishes, and this kid sat down at the end of her table. She's like, "I'm not doing dinner dishes. I'm going to sleep." I was like, "You're not going to sleep. You're going to do dinner dishes," because the rest of the group had started. She's like, "No, I'm asleep." Closed her eyes. Sat there. I was like, "Oh." you're going to open your eyes or I'm going to pour cold water on you. She's like, all right, count of 3, I'm going to do it if you don't move. 1, 2, 3. She didn't move, so I ditched the whole jug of cold water. Straight on her. Straight on. What? Why did you do that? I hate you. Beep, 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 beep. Swear on top of it, like, stormed off to her bunk. So I went and followed her. Like, she's got to do dinner dishes. She can't do that in the bunkhouse. And when I found her, I was like, nah, come on, we've got to go and do dinner. She's like, I'm not doing dinner dishes. So she got out her hairdryer, so I unplugged her hairdryer, and I took that. I'm like, nah, you're doing dinner dishes. She's like, you can't make me. So I said, you can't push kids or shove kids, but you can shepherd kids, which as a sheep herder, I know how to do. Skills cross over really well. So I sort of like walked behind her, and she didn't want to go near me, so she walked away, and she walked into the dining room, which coincidentally was where she was supposed to be. She's like, I'm not doing them, I'm not doing them. I'm like, you are doing them, they're doing them, you're doing them, it's fair. So she laid down and had a tantrum, like kicking and screaming, so I laid down and had a tantrum, I'm kicking. And she's like, you're a dickhead. Yeah, and you're doing dishes. Anyways, the rest of her dorm were like, she's gonna kill us. Anyways, she did dishes. I made her do dishes. I followed her around, she did dishes. And at the end of the night, I went and saw her dorm. I was like, girls, do you know what happens when somebody asks you to do something? And they're like, yeah, you do it. I was like, all right. Do you know what this kid learned today? And they're like, she's like, she learned that it's okay for her to learn to follow instructions, and you were really, really good with that, and thank you for dealing with it. You were very mature. Thanks for not freaking out. Whatever. You got to try and affirm them that, hey, this isn't super, super normal, and she is learning something that they learned at 9. All right? And you've also got to try and make it seem like it's a bit of a joke, because if she learns that she can do that every single meal, then her bunkhouse leader's in trouble. So if you've got extreme behaviour kids, you need to talk to the other kids about it. You need to say, well, you know what, some people have a different upbringing to yours. They might not know about rules. Like, my family had rules, but they usually involved like a belt in my bum. You know, none of this grounding and taking away technology. You just got hit and that was the end of it. But that doesn't mean I always treat other kids like that. So you've always got to try and get other people to be aware of cultures and be aware of language and be aware of issues. So I don't know, sometimes you get bitch slapped by a kid, and sometimes they try to stab you, and sometimes they steal your car. Yeah, these are all real examples. I did get stabbed, I did have my car stolen, I definitely had a kid punch me in the face within 20 seconds of meeting me, and a week later went on to be a Christian and preach at the rest of the camp. So you never know which kid's actually the issue, it might be you. Yeah, so it's just make it normal. We have 13 to 14 kids out of 50 who have severe behavioural issues on our camps. And sometimes they'll, like, if you're talking about God, there's one kid at the back yelling, I'm gonna kill myself now! And all the kids are like, what? I'm 10! What does that mean? Oh, I don't know how to recover from this. You just gotta talk it through and try and deal with it as normally as you can. So, especially if you're dealing with like Asperger's and autism, it is really, really important to understand what is important to them. Because every kid is different. They might really like routine and you're running 10 minutes behind, and that's why they're getting freaked out, because they think dinner's not happening. So just familiarise yourself with everybody's issues, because they all have them. Yeah.
We might take maybe one more question.
You're right.
How many hours of sleep do you get a night?
Mate, during holiday season, I get 3 to 4 a night. During school camp, about 9. So it just depends.
Sorry, just to follow on with that. So you get 3 to 4 hours on a holiday camp.
A night.
A night. How do you run?
I don't. I stand still. I'm very lazy and I drink Coke. Do I look like a runner?
That's not what I meant. I mean, like, how do you, like, mentally, like, survive?
Caffeine. I don't ever recommend it. It's not something you want to do. If you want to survive on camp, sleep. Get some sleep. Do rotations, shifts. Find fun people. For people like me who are a bit special, where I'm okay with sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night, because I know when I go home on Saturday I can sleep for 24 hours. So it's all good. You just got to not throw up when a kid is throwing up because you're so tired, or pass out when they've cut their finger because you haven't slept for 40 hours. It's important to know these things. That's what happens when you're tired. You pass out in weird places.
Oh wow, I feel like there's enough stories here to go on. I'd like to invite someone here to take the initiative, maybe pray for you, Kate, if that's okay, in
Oh.
your ministry.
Yeah, I'd love
Is there anything in particular that you would like prayer for other than where you pass out?
that hasn't happened in like a year. Definitely, I would love prayer for us, our campsite, to continue to encourage kids to really want to get to know God. We talk about the gospel with every kid who comes in, but we really want to continue to be that force. And prayer is always needed in that direction, because it is a very hard road. A lot of people don't want to hear about God, they don't want to know about it, and we always want to encourage them to learn. So definitely, yeah, prayer for the kids who come, and prayer for our staff to know how to deal with that, because every year brings a new dawn of challenges, which would be awesome.
And is that true of the school camps that come?
Yeah, every kid, every school camp.
I can't tell you how unique that is, that school kids in public schools can hear the gospel. Because
We're one of 4 camps in Australia who preach to public schools every single time, no exceptions for religious purposes, every single kid. And that's 40% of our camps.
And you'd be the only one in South Australia, I imagine.
Yeah, we are the only.
That's very special. Would someone like to take the opportunity to pray for Kate? That would be great.
Dear
Thanks.
God, we thank you for having Kate here tonight to talk to us about her role at YLW. We pray for all the staff and that they can learn on how to deal with kids that may have problems. And we pray for all the kids that go through YLW that they can get to know you through the staff and just actually want to learn about you by the end of camp, so that they can get to know you and know that the world's not against them, what it may think. We just thank you so much that you can guide us in a way that you want us to lead with anyone. And we just pray for Kate and her job with the Anglicare kids, and that rate drops from suicide, so there's less suicide rate, preferably 0%, and 100% outcome would be amazing, just because the age group is working with it, it's too young. They haven't had a chance at life yet. Why? What put them in that situation? So we just pray that you'll be able to help Kate in that, and not only that, the kids she's working with, and kids that even she's not working with, but are in the same position, no matter what age they are, even if they're like adults that act like kids. So we just pray that you're there to help them and guide them into the same.
Amen.
Just to do a sales pitch before Hamilton cuts in. I know you guys have got your own camps with your church groups and your schools and stuff. We run 12 holiday camps a year, and we always need leaders. We rang Mike like 6 times to get him to lead this week, and he still turned us down for you guys. But so if you wanna experience Rearway as a leader, as a volunteer, we have horse helps and kitchen hands who get stuck with me a week. And you want to get to know how to work with 10-year-olds or 15-year-olds or 18-year-olds, whatever. We have a training camp in December, it's like the last weekend of school. So people just come for the weekend, work out what we want to do, and it's you don't have to pay to come to our camp. It's like $30 for the week if you can afford it. Other than that, you just get a week of free fun. So if you are 15 and over and you want to work on your leadership skills, please come. We would love to have you wherever you're at, wherever you're from. I will pick you up and I will drive you to damn camp. I don't care. I've done it from Melbourne. I've done it from Brisbane. I will come and get you, take you to camp.
So from 15 up.
Yeah, 15 up. There's a weird cut-off point at like 70 because that's just creepy. Still 15 up from training camp.
Damn. See you next year.
Yeah, so if you want to do that, and we've got our website, just look up Rearway on Google. There's like a picture of a campsite and then a picture of a camper van and then a plane. We have a campsite.
Oh, good. No, that's fantastic. There's lots of food for thought there, and I wouldn't want some people not to have a chance to chat. Do you need to head off like this second?
No.
Well, I understand. Kate, where's Kate from? Kate, do you need to sit up in here for the next thing? Is that right? So maybe then it's not far off what we thought would be supper time. So maybe we might try and have that time now. If you want to have a chance to chat with Kate, you can take that out there while something gets set up in here. Okay? Sorry, Kate, do you need anyone in here? Sorry, we've got too many Kates going on here. Do you want anyone here to help with something like just chairs or anything like that?
There's two people on like a roll of chairs, do you want to just stack them where they usually are? Does that make sense? To be sitting on a line of chairs, stack them.
Yep.
Okay, now before we start doing that, can you just show appreciation for Kate? It definitely was a risk, inviting you to but it paid off. It paid off 2 or 3 times over. So thank you very much, and yes, sticking over for Kim.
Sick. Supper.
Okay.